let's make some videos about my son Steven. He just recently moved out because he's 18 years old. Now, a long time ago, I made a video about him meeting his girlfriend at the prom, and he was actually in the video. And, you know, when we went up there, it was great. It was wonderful. It seemed magical to watch them together, and they've been going together for several months. But when it was over and he came home, within a couple of days, the girl was telling him that she was having these feelings for an ex-boyfriend, that they were coming back, these feelings. And but don't worry, she wouldn't break up with him. And I told him that I had a funny feeling she was going to break up, and if she did, that was pretty low to do that. He, on the other hand, thought that she wouldn't. Okay, he didn't know what to think of these, all of a sudden having feelings for an ex-boyfriend, but still, he had hope that the relationship would last. Well, anyway, after a couple of days, then they broke up. Okay, and then she ended up going back with that old boyfriend, then broke up with him and went back to Steve, and then again broke up. Now, she then went back to the guy, and she would still be friends with Steve, and Steve was hurting. You know, he was really upset and heartbroken, and she would call, and he liked to have his hands free, so he would have it on intercom, the phone, so I could hear what they're saying. I wasn't trying to listen, but I'd go in the kitchen, and I could hear the whole conversation. It was loud. And so, anyway, she was sitting there saying about, you know, how much she loves the guy, the ex-boyfriend, which was now her boyfriend, and but she also still had feelings for Steve, and she was sorry for what she did and stuff like that. But she would like laugh and giggle and talk about the things that they were doing together and stuff like that. And then also she was talking about them having sex. Now she was a virgin before this point, and so was Steven. Okay, and anyway, for her to be sitting there talking about that, man, that really upset me. You know, I mean, my God, if you're gonna call up and still be friends, don't be talking about your ex-boyfriend. I mean, talking about your boyfriend. You know what I mean? Because that really hurts, you know, just have regular conversation. But she was sitting there talking about that, and also that she might be pregnant. And Steve, you could sit there and look at him, and you could see that his heart was just sinking, you know, fast, and he was hurting, you know. He even cried over the whole thing, which is understandable, you know. They've been going together for months. Everything seemed fine. I let them, you know, drive them up there so they could be together on her prom, and the whole time was awesome. That took pictures of them together and stuff like that. Met her mother, and she seemed really nice. And then for her to do that was just pretty damn low. So anyway, after they hung up, I talked to my son. I said, man, I don't think you should be friends with her anymore because this is really wrong. And I can see that you're really suffering through this. And he goes, yeah, I know, Dad, but, you know, I hope that maybe we can get back together someday or something. And I knew it wasn't going to happen. And even if it did, that's not good, you know. So anyway, I end up telling him they can't be friends anymore. He goes, he couldn't do it. He couldn't break up the friendship. So I talked to her on the phone, and I was nice about it, but I told her that, you know, this was really wrong. That's really low of you to call and be talking about having sex with your boyfriend, knowing that Steve is hurting, and all this. And anyway, then I ended up hanging up the phone. You know, she said goodbye. I said goodbye, and I hung up. Well, anyway, after that, okay, I thought that was the end of it. And, of course, Steven was hurting for months or whatever. And anyway, a couple months later, she calls back. Oh, yeah, and in the meantime, I found out that she actually told her mother about the conversation we had, except for she bent the truth a little bit or whatever, and her mother was pissed off at me. But she never called me up, never said nothing to me. And I think that if her mother knew how she really was on the phone, all that she'd be pissed off at her daughter and not me. But never know, because some parents don't give a shit. But she seemed like she did. Her mother did. So anyway, she calls to the house a couple months later, and she wants to talk to me. Not Steve, but me. So he comes in here, he gives me the phone, and I'm thinking in my head, like, what? Why would she want to bitch me out? After all these months? And anyway, she goes to tell me that she's sorry for the way she acted, that she realized that she was wrong, that she has changed over the last few months, and, you know, just apologizing. You know, really blew me away, okay? Because there was no reason for her to do this, even if she had changed and all that. But also, in the back of my head, I was thinking, like, are you apologizing for you can try to go back with my son? Which she never did. She never did ask to go together or anything anymore. So it really was just a call and apologize to me because he was my son. And so anyway, I told her I appreciate her calling me and saying that, and that I thought that she definitely has changed, and that I was really surprised by it, and I really appreciate it. And so anyway, she said goodbye, and then I said goodbye, and that was the end of that. So I think that definitely she has changed, and she's a better person now, and you know, you don't see that very often in young people, you don't. And so I was really surprised and blown away by that whole thing. And eventually the friendship ended, and that was the end of it. But wow, that was pretty amazing. Alright, next video, Stephen's new love. You guys have a good one. Take care, and God bless.